you hadn't noticed, I fixed the volume problem. We were just talking about it. I'm supposed to do this, apparently.
No, on the other side. It makes you look so much more dignified.
Oh, like this? So you can't hear me?
We can still hear you.
Yeah, not as well, though. So, welcome back to Grok Talk. Steve McDonald, Skip Murphy, Mike Rogers. Facebook and Twitter, hey, we're there. You should be, too. You probably are. And if you're not, well, that's your business. But if you are there, check us out. Look for Granite Grok.
And Ustream, YouTube.
We covered those.
So we can do it again.
And again, and again. So anyway, let's get to the rest of these. Let us not opine indefinitely on any particular one. We have like 12 minutes.
Okay.
To cover the next 5 or 6 of these things.
Okay.
Give us the best of the rest, Mr. Steve.
The stupidest one is this is National Suicide Prevention Week. So what does the legislature in California do? They vote to legalize assisted suicide, which will add at least 1,000 suicides a year to the national toll. You can't make this stuff up. I mean,
somebody didn't check the calendar.
Somebody didn't check the calendar. You know, you're exactly right, Steve. But that's one of the stupid. It's serious, obviously.
They should have done it on National Euthanize an Old Person Week. Because I'm sure they probably have one of those somewhere.
Yeah, because every day is Euthanize the Unborn Day.
The Danish probably have one of those, because don't they have assisted suicide?
Yeah, well,
some Norwegian countries do.
A number of the European,
maybe.
Yeah, a number of the European countries do have that, but I think that's going to be hastened with this European refugee by Islamist youths and men versus families. That's another
I just
one.
read an article somewhere, maybe it was the Federalist, somebody was talking about how they were having second thoughts about their assisted suicide because people who got depressed, perfectly functional, productive human beings who were just having a bad couple of months, were being allowed to medically kill themselves, removing them from the economy and everything else, and that wasn't what it was intended to do, but yet that is the unintended consequence of government managing your own extermination. Like, I want to kill myself. Okay, go ahead. But that's what happens.
Yeah.
It always happens that way.
Yep. Then we have, because of our feckless Obama administration in deciding that we'll have butter instead of bombs, the U.S. Marines announced that they are now making serious studies into how they could use foreign flag ships to deliver themselves to war zones. Because, frankly, folks, the U.S. Navy can't get it done
Is there
anymore.
an Uber for that? Wait a minute, I'll get us to transport. It's going to cost extra because it's an emergency.
Yeah.
Stick up your electronic sub-ether signaling device and thumb a ride on the passing Vogon freighter.
Passing Vogon freighter. Excellent.
Yep. So, speaking
Don't
of
forget your towel.
Yeah. Okay. And here's the next thing with the U.S. Marines. Now, we all know that the social engineering that the socialists and social justice warriors have been doing in the U.S. over the last few years since Obama took office has been running through the military nowadays. And the military was told, you will allow women into almost everything. Well, the Marines have actually studied this quite a bit. And one of their big studies just came up. All-male ground combat units. Now, this is combat, where it really counts, folks. This is why we have a military, even though they only make up 10% of our military forces, those guys who actually chuck the spears. All-male ground combat units in the Marines were faster, more lethal, and less injured than units with mixed genders, according to a Marine Corps study that looked at integrating women into all service jobs. All-male squads, teams, and crews demonstrated higher performance levels on 69% of the tasks evaluated, 93 of 134, as compared to gender-integrated squads, teams, and crews. Secretary of the Navy Mabus excoriated the study, saying, you guys were discriminatory and had the results set up. And the headline that caught my eye was basically Mabus calls the Marine comment is, what's a few dead Marines? Well, folks, when your military purpose is to kill people and break things as fast as they can without getting killed themselves, I'm sorry, that's important news. And take the social engineeringers out. Let them try this for a while. And enough of that. And I say that as a Blue Star dad who's one of 2 sons who served in the military. One served in the Marines. So we'll go with that. And without any further ado, Clinton defenders now contend Clinton's private emails from her email server help keep information more secure.
Everybody's going to be doing it now.
I have no comment to add to that headline.
Well, you're going to tell a story. You got to tell it right.
Yeah, it's like, anything to keep her safe. This is...
And you know what? I
That headline-
I bet it created good-paying American jobs, too.
Well, it allowed somebody from the government who was already being paid by the government.
No, but
to
I mean,
double
I'll
dip.
add that narrative. It created jobs.
Yeah.
It's created or saved jobs. Hillary's private server. Come on.
Everything's connected to everything else to make it look good,
Great.
whether it is or not. But it's also endemic of our political posturing nowadays,
That's why if
where
you don't do anything
nothing
wrong,
is bad.
if you say you didn't do anything wrong and you refuse to apologize and then you apologize, you must be a Democrat because it's okay.
Yeah. And again, we throw out the obligatory, if this had been a Republican, what would the media be doing?
But who's she trying to appeal to? It's got to be Democrats or somebody because Republicans don't buy it.
No,
Independents aren't that stupid.
No, they're not
for the most
buying
part.
this either.
The Democrats are the only ones that she needs that she's losing, and she's losing them to Sanders, and so...
Yeah, the Democrats aren't buying it either, at least not in sufficient quantities. If you look at the polls, Biden hasn't barely lifted a finger, and he's catching up on her.
Yeah, and then the socialist. Who ever thought here in the United States in this era that a socialist would start beating a person who used to be considered a centrist Democrat? I mean, we're in a world of hurt if a socialist takes over. It's like, why did we have 200 odd years of being Americans, and now we're going to use a foreign political philosophy?
Well,
This is mobocracy. This is...
it's been pretty popular for the last 100 years or so on the left.
Well,
so.
Yeah, ever since what's his name now? Von Clausewitz was rolling up the Prussian provinces to form Germany, and he basically beat the socialists to the punch by nationalizing retirement funds and health benefits. He figured out how to wheedle
That was Otto
people's...
von Bismarck, was it not?
Von Bismarck, yes, that's right. I'm sorry. Clausewitz was just working for Bismarck. But basically, wheedle people's money away from them to bribe them with it back. Gosh, sounds like a lot like America nowadays. And the last one that I have is back to California. California will give free high school diplomas to kids who flunked out. Yes, sirree. There we go. That was my quick list this morning.
Which means that it's not worth hiring a California high school graduate under any circumstances, even to flip burgers, unless you test them yourself.
Or the teachers, actually. All you really need is a lunch staff to give them their 3 free squares a day.
And you don't even need that, because something I haven't posted yet. In New York, Chicago, the first fully automated restaurant. Like the old 50s automats. Well, now you type in your order, and it's cooked freshly out back, and it arrives in a thing, in a glass wall of cubicles, and when you go up, you enter in your information, the thing comes up, and you pull out your freshly cooked stuff. And pretty soon, if you get the burger machines and all that other stuff, you won't need a human at all. Thank you, $15 an hour minimum wage nitwits.
They'll have to go back to doing newspaper rounds.
Well,
that's been stolen from them too.
If you employ too many people, you don't have enough folks for your riot. So you really have to have some spare people laying around unemployed looking for something to be mad about. And so that's really what that's for.
Well, essentially, that takes away another low-end rung of the economic ladder, because I'm old enough, and you guys probably are too. You drive into a gas station, you had all these high school kids coming out, checking the tires, checking the oil, checking the wipers, checking, everything, while yet another one's actually pumping the gas. All of these kids were getting minimum wage and learning their craft. That was the way how most car guys got to be car guys. And
Plus
I remember going to the movies.
Plus, they learn how to have a job.
Yeah, you learn to show up at work. You learn to respect those in authority. You do a good job. You take pride in your work.
Proper appearance, time management, coordinating with others, working as a team, blah, blah, blah. All those things you need to learn.
And by the way, getting tips.
And dealing with customers.
Yeah. So there was
being forced to be nice to people who aren't always nice to you. It's a good skill to have.
Someone found a Trump tweet from last September.
Yes, saw that.
That's pretty awful. Every time I speak of the haters and losers, I do so with great love and affection. They cannot help the fact that they are born effed up.
Ooh.
The winning response appears to have disappeared from the web. It was from the guy who has the handle Cuffy May, who said, "Gravitas, mother effers." See, I couldn't say the full word.
While Skip was drinking. He didn't spit it all over his keyboard. That was pretty impressive. Oh, yeah.
Which,
Thank you, Mike.
let us remember again that under a lot of circumstances, Trump would not be an acceptable candidate, except he's doing something really, really important. He is drawing attention to the things that none of the political class are taking care of. And between Trump's style, like it or hate it, and the master political skills of Corey Lewandowski, the guy is absolutely crushing the field. And like I said, there are things about Trump that make me a little uneasy. But you know what? The political class, as Skip says, brought it on themselves. This is what you get for not taking care of business.
I mean, it all goes down to what I've been saying when it comes time for elections. Winning is only a precursor. It's what you do afterwards that's most important. And what we've seen lately from our Republican elected officials is that they campaign to win, and that's it. That's all they care about. And with the lack of promises kept, they've created a vacuum. And we all know that nature and politics abhor such a vacuum. And you have let him in by dint of what you haven't done, which is fulfill your promises. You haven't acted according to the philosophy that you espouse or that the party says it does. Instead, we get this fiasco, as Mike had as a WTF, concerning this real treaty that's going to have real results and that is going to have really bad things stemming from it. And Mitch McConnell standing up there, they're going to vote for us! Newsflash to Mitch McConnell and the rest of the Beltway banditos. No, we're not!
Right about now, if somebody stood up a third party that was likely to get more than about 30% of the vote, the Republicans would get 0.
If it wasn't so hard to do so, because both parties have co-joined to make it almost impossible for another party to start up, at least here in New Hampshire. Just look at well, not exactly that the Libertarians are all that well organized, but look at the hard time that they've had just to get enough votes in the right time period to be able to start a third party. Although I think that if the core conservative wing, the Liberty and Freedom wing of the party here, of the Republican Party, decided to go off on its own, and I thought a great time was when Bill O'Brien started his own caucus in the New Hampshire House. That would have been a perfect time to have start one, and they would have immediately gotten a good 30% or more of the voters here in New Hampshire. Unfortunately, that time has passed. But I think you're right, Mike. I think that there is a growing sense that there is no Democrat Party anymore. There's only socialists. And the Republican Party has now drifted to the center. And
they're the Social Democrats.
They're the Social Democrats. There is no real conservative party here in the country, and certainly not here in New Hampshire.
And notice two things. Last week I remarked when we had Corey on the phone that Trump said something that he didn't have to say, and most of the news outlets cut off.
Yep.
Not allegiance to the Republican Party, but and to the conservative principles for which it stands. How often do you hear any of the Republican leadership saying, it's about the conservative principles, folks?
Oh, I'm sorry, but
only when they're running for office.
Bingo. That's exactly right. They say it. They all declare themselves to be conservatives. I'm sorry. Lindsey Graham is not a conservative.
All right, we're going to take a break. 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 There we go. This is Grok Talk. I'm Steve McDonald here with Mike Rogers and Skip Murphy. We'll be right back.